Hi, it's Denise. Here's a new episode of Standout. Be my next guest on Standout by clicking on the link below and we'll contact you. Enjoy the episode. Hello, I'm Denise Summers of Standout, your host of the video series celebrating the successes of women founders and leaders. Today we're joined by intuitive soul investigator JoAnn Stoneberg of As the Planets Turn. And so welcome, JoAnn.
Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, great to have you here. And so I'm really interested in the history of astrology and how it impacts our lives and how the stars and moon impact us. Can you explain how that, because I know when there's a full moon, people sometimes act differently and I've heard a lot about that. So maybe you could explain a little bit about that.
Of course, thank you, Denise. So astrology is, well, they say it's the second oldest profession on the planet. So it's been around for a long time.
Right.
All right. And in the astrology community, and you know, there's quite a few thousand astrologers out there, and we don't know how it works. It just does. Okay. So to give you a bit of an idea, the picture behind us here is an astrology chart. Right. Okay. And as what you're looking at here is where all the planets were on a specific date and time. So what you're looking at right now is where all the planets are today, June 25th, or yes, June 25th. And the little segments in the circle are the different areas of life. And then all the lines in the middle are how all the planets relate to each other. Okay. And you talked about the full moon. Well, we're actually in full moon right now.
I think I noticed that this week.
Nice big bright full moon out there.
Yeah.
It's in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is about our responsibilities, our authorities. It's an earth sign. So it's a great day to do any gardening with the earth energy.
Okay.
Okay. And it's also the full moon is also where the party happens. So this is where you'll see throughout history, you know, the firemen, the police, the emergency rooms, they seem to be busier during full moons than any other time. It also works with the tides as well. When there's a full moon, right? The tides are higher. One little story I like to say about the cycle of the moon and how it affects us, okay, just watching the cycle of the moon, you'll notice during the full moon, your animals might be a little more playful, you know, running around the house more, having trouble getting settled down. You might not get a lot of sleep either. So coming back to starting at the new moon is more of a quiet time. And I like to use the analogy of planning a party. So at the new moon, just as the name suggests, new, we start, I have an idea. I want to start a party, right? I want to plan a party. So that the new moon, for the first week between the new moon and the first quarter moon, we're planning the party. We're making all the arrangements, you know, flowers, band, food, you know, who we're going to invite. We put out the invitations, okay? And then from the first quarter moon, a week later, to the full moon is when you're really starting to ramp up, getting everything ready for the party, running around, getting last minute things rearranged, or, you know, something doesn't work out and you've got to, you know, rearrange, maybe a new band or new food or what have you, right?
So if you translate that to, say, the business world, for example, the new moon would be when you would come up with ideas for new projects and so on, and then through the quarter moon and further on, that would be when you're really digging deep into these projects. And is that?
Yes, okay. Exactly. Yes. So yeah, on a business level, you're starting something new. It's best to start it after the new moon. And I've noticed people who don't know astrology and they just naturally start something at the new moon, they get more traction.
Okay.
Right? There's more. So the energies are building between the new moon and the full moon. And then after the full moon, going back down to the new moon, full moon, third quarter moon, and the new moon is when the energies are starting to wane. So it's like going back to the drawing board, maybe seeing what worked, what didn't, revamping some things, and you know, and it's just this monthly cycle that we have, and it's really interesting. So
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the astrology chart has a lot going on with it. It looks a bit complicated to me. Is there a easier way for people like me to understand it?
Yes. So it is it is a language, right? Astrology is learning a different language. So is what's out there is, there's a lot of astrology calendars out there of which I'm not happy with. So I've decided to make my own. And I'm incorporating the astrology calendar so that the regular person can understand it, where the planets are, where the moon is every day, how to use that, utilize the calendar in keeping track of the energies of the planets. So it's a much easier way. And then when you incorporate your chart with it, you know, if you want to take some lessons with myself and how to really incorporate that with the cycles of your chart and the cycles of the moon and the transitions of all the planets, it helps you to understand why things are the way they are in your life. Some days you're up, your energy, let's go. Other days you're just like a mess, you're weepy, you're crying. It's like, what's going on, right? Other days it's this mental capacity where there's like squirrel, 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 you know, you're doing 10 million things at once, but it helps you understand and utilize that energy to your advantage as well.
So you can sort of plan your life around,
yes,
this is going to be happening, so I should avoid doing this, or I should plan to do this because I'll have lots of energy and so on.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not unlike the Farmer's Almanac using the planting by the moon, right? When are the best times to plant and when aren't, right?
Okay.
So it's more or less like that, but looking at it from your life perspective, and also to understand your children as well, what's going on with them and sort of what to be prepared for.
Right. And your spouse, maybe.
And your spouse, yes, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
right. And so how can people bring this into their work lives, for example, perhaps to help their careers? What can they do to take advantage of that to help them?
So people can call their, you know, friendly neighborhood astrologer, moi, right? When they, to find out when the new moons and full moons are and that, and what signs they're in, because they always go through different signs as well. Last month we had 2 eclipses. The eclipses always land on the new moon or the full moon. And those really weighed heavy on a lot of people, especially if you were a Gemini, a Sag, a Pisces, or a Virgo. They would have affected you big time during that time period. Okay.
So thanks for being with us today, Joanne. How can people reach you if they'd like to get their astrology chart done?
So people can reach me at my email, JoAnn@astheplanetsturn.com, and also at my website, astheplanetsturn.com. I also want to mention too, real quick, that I am developing a astrological calendar for the layperson, so that they can understand where their moon is at and what signs things are in and how they're going to affect their chart. So
wonderful. Well, thanks for being on the show. That was JoAnn Stoneberg. I'm Denise Summers, your host of Standout. Next episode, we'll be digging deeper into the work that JoAnn does. Hope you'll join us, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. That's all the time we have today for this episode. Thank you for tuning in with us, and please remember to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. We have new content being released every day.